Yes, good evening, Lagos, Nigeria. It's the 23rd day in the month of April, year 2024, and you're live on the Boardroom Convo with Wise and Sam. My name is Samuel Olabulo, and this is the Boardroom Convo. This show is called the Boardroom Convo, and it's a carefully crafted program centered on life, career, and business. And it's a way to get people become purpose driven and to perform at their optimum. And of course, my name is Samuel Olabulo. I'm a certified management consultant, a business coach, and I help individuals, teams, and organizations embrace and establish leadership authority with purpose. And of course, tonight on the show, like I told us the other week, that we're going to be bringing on, industry players, key players in the industry in different areas of work life, and to the show, so that they can begin to talk to us about the things that we need to know, the things that we need to keep doing to make us better in our personal lives, in our career, and in our business, and of course in life generally. And tonight is not going to be a difference, because I've got a fantastic personality live on Instagram and on site tonight. So in the person of Mr. Gbenga, Emiloju. But before we go straight into the business of tonight, as a form of quick introduction, let me quickly just read out you know a brief CV of Mr. Gbenga Emiloju. Yeah, so Mr. Gbenga Emiloju is from Ekiti State, and he worked as a civil servant. At some point, he rose to the level where he is right now. He started work with the Ekiti State government right back from the year 2001, and he moved from one level to the other, from the level of a clerical officer to a protocol officer, and he worked in the higher executive office as a liaison officer, and now in the administrative office is serving as a director in the capacity development and training with the Ministry of Capacity Development and Training at Ado Ekiti. Mr. Gbenga is a licensed human resource practitioner and a certified management consultant. He has worked with quite a number of organizations that he himself has established and has been optimized over the years. Talking about GigMorph, that is GigMorph Heritage and Management Consulting Services, is a consulting firm that specializes in human resource management, project design, management, event planning, management, and air travel services. He is the founder and president of the Divine Motivation for Positive Impact Initiative, an NGO established with divine mandate to add value and make positive impacts in the lives of people generally, especially the youth and the vulnerable people in the society. Yes, Mr. Gbenga Emiloju is a goal-oriented and purpose-driven personality who derives motivation and fulfillment from helping young and vulnerable people discover and fulfill their dreams and God's given purpose. He is an author of many books, is a public speaker, is a career advisor, is a human resource manager, a life coach, and a certified management consultant, among so many other things. In fact, if I decide to continue talking about the achievements of Mr. Gbenga tonight, I bet in 30 minutes we're not going to get through talking about his achievements in the career and human resource space. So, ladies and gentlemen, on site tonight on Top Radio 90.9 FM and on my Instagram Live, I have the person of Mr. Gbenga Emiloju. Good evening, Mr. Gbenga.
Good evening, sir, Mr. Samuel. It is nice to be with you on this program.
I hope you had a fantastic day at work today, sir.
Glory be to God. It was a wonderful day.
Thank you for joining us on the Boardroom Convo tonight. like I said earlier, that this is the show that is carefully crafted. It's a program that is centered on life, centered on career and business. And of course, as a human resource personnel, I bet that you are going to do justice to, most of the things that we're going to be talking about tonight. As a core professional in the human resources space, we've got quite a number of questions to ask you tonight. And over the weeks, we have been talking about the act of critical thinking in relation to life and work. So we all understand that the act of critical thinking is something that is very important for people who are in the career space, of course, as an individual, as teams, as organizations. The act of critical thinking is something that is of extreme importance for people to begin to take on. It's one of the soft skills that is projected to be the future of career. So tonight, I'm going to start with the question of reflecting on your past experiences. What do you believe is the most important aspect of critical thinking in both personal and professional contexts, sir?
Thank you very much once again for having me, Mr. Samuel.
It's my
Uh,
pleasure, sir.
Thank you, listeners online and those who will probably listen to the program later. Thanks so much
Yes, sir.
for being part of the program. The topic, having critically analyzed the topic
Yes, sir.
and probably did some work so that I'll be able to at least dish out a very rich content.
Yes, sir.
When it comes to critical thinking as it relates to life and work, it's one of the
Yes.
things that we must not take with levity, because
Mm.
there's something that you cannot escape, and that thing is choice. You can't
Yes,
escape
sir.
escape it when it comes to choice making. At the same
Mm.
time, even having made a choice, you cannot
Yes, sir.
also escape the consequences of your choice.
Mm.
So the 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 importance of critical thinking when it comes to life, when it comes to whatever you can think of,
Yes, sir.
you must be on top of your game.
Mm.
Because in life, options are always many. For instance, when you get to eatery, you will see a lot of dishes, different
Yes, sir.
types. When you get to anywhere, you will always see different options.
Yes, sir.
And in choosing your choices, you have to think. When we're talking
Mm.
about what is the meaning of critical thinking simply means your ability to rationalize your thoughts before making a
Yes.
decision.
Yes,
So
sir.
you're an individual. At every point in time, you will be faced with many options and alternatives. At
Yes.
every time you are faced with such, it requires that you take your time to critically analyze these
Yes, sir.
available options,
Mm.
so that at every point in time, you will know the right decision to make, so that at the end of the day, the consequences of that decision will not have negative impact on you, either in
Mm.
your life or in your career as a person, even as a
Yeah.
business person. We
So
make choices every day.
what you're trying to say is that when you make a choice, understand that there is a consequence of the actions you are taking
Definitely.
as a result of the choice.
Definitely.
There is a consequence after the choice.
There's a
So
consequence for
and
every action.
it affects both our life. It affects how we approach our business. It affects how we approach our career. It affects every sphere of our lives.
Definitely, yes.
Fantastic. I'm
And
with you, sir.
maybe as
Continue,
we
sir.
go on, by the time I start discussing the element of critical thinking, we'll
Yes,
be
sir.
able to relate it to our day-to-day life and
Okay,
how
sir.
it affects what we do.
Please go ahead, sir.
Okay. So like I was saying the other time, we are faced with options and alternatives every day.
Yeah.
Sometimes we are not conscious of them, even
Mm.
including the kind of or the color of the shoe to wear, the type of outfits to put on. These are
Mm.
choices we make,
Yes.
sometimes without putting much thought into them, though they are very infinitesimal when it comes to real issues of life. But let's look
Mm.
at the issue like marriage. You want to settle down, you have options, you have made one or two. You should be able to critically analyze the options
Mm.
available to you, not only by physical appearance or by simply what you can relate with physically, because there are other things that are very important when it comes to decision making that are
Yes.
not presently available at the time you are to make that decision, that you have to think
Yes,
of,
sir. Yes,
because
sir.
those things will eventually come up later in future, either you
Yeah,
like it or not.
definitely.
And by the time they start fighting, then you now begin to look back to when you were making that decision.
Mm.
And now regret, oh, I never thought of this at that time. I would have done it differently. I would have made alternative choices. So there are certain things we have to look into when we are making decisions. I call them element of decision, critical decisions, or every element of
Okay.
critical thinking. Rather. These elements are the things that you must be aware of at every
Okay.
point in time you are thinking about anything you want to do. Number one, you must have analytical skill.
Okay.
Don't forget, I said the other time that you always have options. And the reason
Yes, sir.
why you have to engage critical thinking is to be able to select the option that is less harmful,
Yes.
that is cost effective,
Yes,
that the
sir.
end result will justify whatever you are
Mm.
putting into it. So analytical skill is number one. You must be on top
Okay.
of your game to be able to analyze options,
Mm.
analyze feelings, emotions that you are having,
Mm.
because part of the impediment to critical thinking is emotion. Because most of the time, our emotion comes into play when
Yes.
we are thinking about things, even critical issues of life. So
Yes.
your analytical thinking comes into play. Number two, evaluation.
Okay.
Evaluation means you put two things on the scale, or three, depends on the available options you have.
Yes,
Okay, I
sir.
want to go for a course in the higher institution. I have, by the virtue of my research, I can maybe go for medicine, go for this or that. You'll be able to analyze maybe two or three options of career
Yes,
path that you can
sir.
choose. So then you evaluate them,
Mm.
put them on scale. Evaluation means your ability to assess the credibility and the relevance
Mm.
of each of these options you are looking at. Number three, you make inferences. What does it mean to make inferences? You draw logical conclusion.
Mm. Mm.
So before you, when you are thinking about anything, when it is time for you to make option or decision, or take decision,
Yes.
or to take action,
Yes, sir.
make sure you look at the inferences,
Mm.
logical conclusion, that we call it deductive reasoning in philosophy. Deductive
Mm.
reasoning. You must be able to deductively analyze which of the option is the best. Then number four, which one your application of that option. That is
The
where the
application,
problem
the
solving come in.
application of the inferences.
Yes, the application of the inferences you are able to draw. Then
Yes, sir.
interpretation. Interpretation is talking about the consequences. So when
Okay.
you are able to interpret each of your options at every point in time, then you will be able to know what is the consequence for a particular option you are going for.
Yes,
So
sir.
consequence is not some. So with the help of interpretation, you'll be able to analyze what is the consequence. Then reflection. What does it mean to
Okay.
reflect? To reflect is to now look at the impact of the consequence, because there is
Okay.
no option you take that will not have consequence. It is just
Mm.
that the consequences are not the same. So your
Mm.
ability to reflect on the consequences of each of your action will help you to know which one to go for. Let me tell you something. In life, except it is not an important issue of life, there is no option you go for that will not have its own consequence. Sometimes it could
Yes,
be
definitely.
financial consequence. It could be pleasure that will be the consequence that you won't be able to enjoy, because there is something you are paying for whatever you want to gain. Before you can attain value or achieve value, there must be a price to pay. That could be the
Yes.
consequences. So look at all the available options, then you are able to draw a conclusion. Then one thing is that you must be open-minded,
Mm.
because the moment you are closing your mind concerning whatever you are already familiar with, it will affect your ability to digest or absorb relevant or more useful options that will
Mm.
have given you better alternatives. Then the last point
Mm.
I want to discuss there is intellectual humility. This one is a coinage. Intellectual humility. The fact that, irrespective of your level of intelligence, your academic qualification, your experience in the particular line of field or endeavor, does not always justify your personal view on issues of life,
Wow.
because you will be biased. We're going to talk about it when I get to impediment. to critical thinking. So
Okay,
you
sir.
must be humble, irrespective of your level, your experience. Bring yourself down. That will give you the opportunity to see things differently. But the moment you begin to see yourself, oh, I'm this, I'm that, I have PhD, I have that, I should be able to. It will blind you. So intellectual humility is when you bring yourself down to look at issue the way they are, not the way you think it should be. And that's part of the reason people are making mistake when it comes to decision making. So these are some of the elements that you must have at the back of your mind when we are talking about critical thinking. I don't know if I can go on straight, just go straight to the impediments. Because
Yes, you
you
can
must
go ahead, sir.
understand, okay, you must understand things that make it difficult for people to arrive at meaningful decisions, having interrogate their thoughts over that issue. Yet they will still arrive at something that will not be pleasant or give them the desired result. I call them impediment to critical thinking. Number one is our emotion. I mentioned it earlier. Our emotion and reasoning, they are two different things that they don't align. Emotion and reasoning. Most of the time, some of the decisions we make are colored by our emotions and feelings. And when you allow emotions and feelings to control you at the moment of critical decision or thinking, you will make mistakes. So emotions and feelings can play on us. In fact, they are enemy, emotions and reasoning. So when you are engaging critical thinking, be more inclined to reason than emotion. Number two, cognitive biases. Cognitive biases is usually the moment an issue come up, or the moment you need to attend to something, or you need to make a decision, there is something that will first of all come to your mind. And most of the time, people don't now take it further. The moment that idea comes, especially when it looks good to you, you embrace it and you begin to make do with it. Cognitive biases is most of the people, many people get biased based on what came to their mind, especially when they think about something or when an issue happens. Don't allow what came to you. In fact, that is why they call it maybe love at first sight. Some people make mistakes because the moment they see a lady or a man that look beautiful, they don't think about any other thing again. So their opinion become biased based on what they have seen. It's also it affects us when we are making decisions or thinking about important. Then lack of information. At every point in time, you have to make critical decisions. Gather as many as possible information. In one of my books, I discuss power of information. When you have the right information, your ability to make right decision is easy.
Yes, sir.
Like when you don't have quality information at your disposal.
Yes.
So gather as much as possible information, even the information you think you may not need. Gather them.
Yes.
Then analyze those information. They call it literacy, something information literacy. Your ability to gather information and now pick the good ones.
Because I think it was part of the points I outlined last week on the show, talking about the act of critical thinking and some of the things that we need to be able to do better in our lives. That we must have, our knowledge base has to be wide. You have to read wide. You have to study wide. You have
so
to.
that
It's
you
not.
have
So that you can have more than enough information to pick from options.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
Then number 4, fixed mindset. Fixed mindset. Many of us, because of our experience, because of our the things we have exposed to over time, we have already had a kind of fixed opinion about certain things. Whatever you have fixed opinion about, you won't see alternative to consider. No matter how good the alternative, because you already close your mind.
Yes.
So
you are not open to options.
You are not open to other alternative options. Sometimes it could just such options or alternative can come from people you never think that qualify. It could be a messenger in your office that will bring an idea. Look at in the Bible, there's a man called Naaman who was a very senior man. It was the maid in his house that helped him.
I gave him the idea.
He almost missed that miracle. because
Mm.
of his mindset. Because he already programmed in his mind what the idea should look like. The moment
Wow.
it didn't look like it. He didn't want to follow. But thank God somebody was able to scold him and he
Mm.
aligned. Then time constraint. Sometimes some issues that require critical thinking or decision, we may not have enough time.
Yes, sir.
Especially when we have limited time to make some decisions. Then
Yes, sir.
that could be an impediment to making right decision, because sometimes taking right decisions emanating from critical thinking may require ample of time. And if you don't have
Yes, sir.
such time, you may have issue. Then social pressure. Social pressure is another problem.
Okay, okay.
Especially
Mm.
when it comes to issues of life. Okay, let me use myself as an example. I'm considering some decisions as regards my career at the moment.
Yes, sir.
I'm telling you what is happening in my life, because you must be able to analyze the future of your life at every point in time. You must have personal development plans. These
Yes,
plans
sir.
to guide you into becoming whatever you have envisioned yourself to be. So, based on that, you look at things that are relevant to that journey and things that are not relevant. So, your
Mm.
ability to identify those things that are relevant will help you to make right decisions. But when there are pressure will not give you that comfort, that conduciveness to make decisions that you would have loved to make. Especially when you are pressured by friends, all of us, we have
Yes.
people influencing our life, directly or indirectly. It could be family
Mm.
member, it could be friend, it could be colleagues at work, it could be neighbor. These are people who believe that they have stake in our life, and they put
Yes, sir.
pressure on us. They're trying to suggest things to us without even being our shoe to know what is the best. So social pressure could be another factor when it comes to making right decision from critical thinking. Then fear of failure.
Mm.
Fear of
Mm.
failure is common to all. I don't need to dwell much on that. Most of the time, even the best option may not be the one that seems achievable to you.
Mm. Mm.
The fact that, look, my first book, Your Dream is Possible, I discussed the concept very well there. No matter how big is your dream, for as long as you can conceive it in your mind, you can achieve it. But
Yes,
most of
sir.
the fear that, oh, can this thing be done? With my status, with my level, can I achieve this? So fear of failure makes some people jettison the best idea from that will have served them better. But fear
Yes,
that
sir.
not work from the reason why some people jettison such idea. Then the last point I want to talk about is excuses. Let me tell you,
Mm.
let me tell you something. No matter the choice that comes to you, except you don't critically look at it, there are some factors that you may want to consider that will serve as excuses why you must not take it.
Mm.
So at every point in time, you must be able to analyze whatever excuse that is popping up for you concerning whatever
Yes,
decision
sir.
you are making.
Yes, sir.
Is this excuse tenable enough not to take this option? Most of the time, people it is later they will now realize that, oh, I should have considered that option then. But oh, due to this, due to that, that will excuse. People begin to give different excuses that
Mm.
at that point in time, they may think that those excuses are relevant. But later in life, they will not look at it that no excuse is tenable for failure. Because no matter
Mm.
how much you want to justify it, it won't be reasonable enough. At the time when that issue was at hand, that excuse may look reasonable to you. But
Yes.
later in life, when people now be looking at your life, asking you questions, why
Yes, sir.
did you go this far? Why did you make this choice? You know, begin to
Mm.
say, this is
Mm.
what happened. You know, begin
Mm.
to give excuses for the failure that ordinarily you should have avoided. So that is what I can discuss under impediment. Then probably before we round up, there are benefits to critical thinking if you are able to make something out of it. A lot of benefits. And these benefits serve a lot of goodies, especially for those who, at the end of the day, benefit from their decisions resulting from critical thinking. And what
Yes,
are
sir.
the benefits? Number one, you are able to solve problems. Problem
Mm.
solving is
Yes.
a skill on its own.
Yes, sir.
And for you to be on top of your game when you want to develop that skill in problem solving, you must be able to engage the critical thinking, because
Mm.
there's no way you can solve problem without thinking about the solution to that problem. So problem
Mm.
solving is number one. Number two, it enhances our decision making ability. So at every point in time, you are able to make decisions that everybody will appreciate. in your place of work, it will look as if you are the only one there, because you are able to come up with something that applies and probably cost effective compared to what other people have suggested.
Yes,
So,
sir.
number 3, creativity and innovation. There's no new thing that comes up today that did not emanate from critical thinking. Some people just sit somewhere, think about something, and begin to work on it. There's a book written by Pastor Sam Adeyemi, Idea Rules the World. I don't know if you
Yes,
have
sir.
read the book.
Yes.
Everything you see starts as an idea. And how can idea be developed? Through thinking. You can't develop an idea without thinking critically. So,
Yes.
creativity and innovation is a product of critical thinking. Then number 4, effective communication of ideas. When you are, okay, look at this conversation we are having. Proudly proud to the time you reach out to me about this topic. Though I run a mentoring school, and one of our course there is effective planning and decision making. So that is under where we discuss critical thinking, but not extensively. And I was able to sit down. In fact, after this conversation, I will send the slide to you because I developed a slide on this conversation. I'll send it to you. You can share your. Yes, I'll send it to you. Now, the reason why I can communicate this idea fluently is because I've been able to sit on it, critically analyze it. That's why I can effectively communicate it. So, critical thinking helps us to effectively communicate ideas. Then self-reflection. Except you don't want to be better off. I'm a personal development strategist. And what does that imply? At every point in time, you must look for a way to add value to yourself. It can come through self-development. It can come through being personally resourceful, especially by the time you are loaded. Because one thing about life is when you are loaded, you will be needed. The reason why nobody is looking at your side is because you have no value to offer. So it helps you to have self-reflection about your life, about your career, about the way things are going with you, the area where you need to work on, and some other things. Then it helps you to advance your career. I was talking about something the other time about my career. I realized I have about 11 years left in the civil service because I joined the civil service as a cleric, as a steward with level 2. That's about 23 years ago. So I spent about 12 years of my career as a junior staff out of 35 years. So minus 12 from 35, it gives me about 22. The remaining 22, before I became an administrative officer, because that's the most lucrative cadre in the civil service, administrative officer, because you can become anything, you can become head of service. By the time I joined the cadre, I was brought back one step because I was only level 12 as executive officer. When I joined the administrative cadre, I was taken back to level 10. So all this has affected the years I have left in the civil service. And when I look at, thank you, when I look at the time I have left, I realized that I won't be able to reach the peak where I would love to be.
Yes.
Because if I have the time to remain, I know the chance I have. Because one thing about being highly resourceful is that it gives you competitive advantage.
Yeah.
And if you have read through my profile, in the space of 7 years, I've acquired as much as possible certificate and knowledge.
In fact, I had to just find a way to shorten it, because if as a matter of fact, if I decide to read out the whole stuff that you sent to me, that will cover about 10 to 15 minutes. That's a robust CV.
It was intentional.
I must commend you.
I realized that if I'm going to pull out from the civil service anytime soon, then I should prepare myself for the work out there. Some of the things I'm doing today is a preparation for the plans I have.
Yes.
So when you are a kind of person that critically analyzes issues, it helps you to make informed decisions that can help you to advance your career, live a better life, and probably achieve your goals. Then, apart from that, it also helps you to avoid manipulation. You know, people, their conspiracy, except you are not working in an organization where there are competitions, there are manipulations. There are people with scheme and all manner of ideas. Your ability to
Yes.
think critically will help you to analyze issues and know what
Yes,
is
sir.
right and what to do per time. So
Yes,
these
sir.
are some of the benefits that are embedded in one's ability to develop critical thinking ability. And
Yes.
more important, let me round up with this. I put up something at the introduction which I did not read. I said in
Okay.
life, critical thinking allows individual to make informed decisions, solve problems, and navigate complex situations. No matter how complex situations are,
Yes.
when you are able to engage the power of critical thinking,
Yes.
you'll be able to resolve those issues seamlessly.
Mm.
Where people are struggling, when you get there, you just
You don't
navigate.
have to struggle. Yes, you
You
just go. You
navigate
just
your way,
you,
and the
you
people
just
will be
go
looking at you as
seamlessly.
if you are not a human being, or maybe
Mm.
you are a special being. It
Mm.
enables people to analyze information, consider different viewpoints, evaluate potential outcomes of their choices. Like I said, one thing you cannot escape is the choice you must make and the consequences of the choice. So your
Yes.
ability to engage critical thinking in whatever, either in life situations or in your career, a relationship, in marriage, in even your relationship with God, because it cuts across every aspect of human life. Your ability to engage critical thinking concerning issues of life as they come
Yes.
will enable you to have better outcome, a kind of results that will not lead
Yes.
to regrets later. Because a lot of people who live their later years in regrets simply because they fail to engage the power of critical thinking at the point
Mm.
of making choices that led them to where they find themselves. So
Yes.
on this point, as I'm rounding up, I don't know if I'll see the question or interactions we
Yes.
see have time. But let me
Yes, sir.
drop this point. Before you make any decision or take any action, there's something called consequential thinking. Consequential
Mm.
thinking is part of critical thinking. Look at the consequences of your decision, of your thoughts, of your action,
Yes.
so that when you are able to evaluate the consequences, will enable you to think differently in making the right decision. Let me
Mm.
stop here so that I can have more interactions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gbenga. In fact, if I had to start to outline most of the things that you've just talked about, just attending to one question, you talked about, analytical thinking. You talked about evaluation. You talked about inferences, application of the inference, reflection, which is the impact of your choice. You talked about intellectual humility. And then talking about the impediments of critical thinking, you looked at cognitive biases, lack of information, how it affects, how it impedes our acts of critical thinking, and how that affects our life, how it affects our work and business generally. And then you also talked about decision making, social pressure, all of these things, how they affect, they really matter as to how they affect our life personally, our business, and our general life. So I was going to ask you a question that can you share your experience where you had to think critically to resolve a conflict or disagreement within a team or organization? Take, for example, as a top management personnel working with a government organization, a lot of issues will be brought to your table in terms of conflict resolution that you have to put up an act of critical thinking. How have you been able to resolve such issue, putting up conflict resolution professionalism to that?
Thank you very much. As you were about asking that question, there was a particular case that came to mind, and
Okay.
I would love to use it as a case study. There was a time as a director of training,
Yes, sir.
we I designed training programs, work
Okay.
plans for the ministry as when it comes to capacity building and workshop and training programs.
Yes.
There was a particular program I was to implement last year in November. The state government employs some newly officers into specialized cadres. The admin
Yes, sir.
officers, the accountants, the auditors, the inspector, the registrar of cooperatives, and inspector
Yeah.
of taxes. So we have set everything, we have put everything in gear, and everything was working in terms of preparation. But at the implementation level,
Yes.
there was a conspiracy. Because,
Mm.
like I said the other time, except you are not working in an organization where there are competitions, you cannot but think critically.
Yes,
So
sir.
in the process, there was a sabotage. The money that was supposed to release for the implementation, all of a sudden, one of the signatory got disappear simply because it was a deliberate intention to
Wow.
sabotage the process. And
Wow. Wow.
this is a program where the head of service would be attending, permanent secretaries and top government officials. Will I now say
Mm.
the reason why there's a failure is because somebody disappeared? I sat down that evening, like 2 days, that is weekend to the program, because the program was to start on Monday. What do I do? And we're talking about programs that run into millions.
Yes, definitely.
I have to think critically. Then there's something I want to mention that I forgot when it comes to critical thinking. Don't depend on your ability alone.
Mm. Mm.
There may be time you need to consult, and that's the essence of having a mentor.
Mm.
Consultation can help your critical thinking. So in the process, I consulted. I talked to one or two people. This is the situation on ground. And one thing about government, when you want to spend on behalf of government, you have to be careful as well, because your good
Yes,
intention
sir.
can be misinterpreted. So
Definitely.
I'm going to spend money
Definitely.
running for almost 5 million without anybody
Mm.
giving me the direct instruction. I need to make consultation, ask questions, sought opinions, and I call it expert opinion and advice. So I was guided. I have to look for money, implement the program without collecting a penny, about 5
Wow.
million. After the
Wow.
implementation of the program, that's where I'm going now. You talk about conflict resolution. So when it's now the time to refund me, and the person in charge of finance and account said, no, we can't give you the money.
Wow.
And I said, okay, what's the problem? He said, okay, all the vendors that you use and everybody that has taken their money and gone, you have to now submit their account number and their phone number. We will now negotiate with them on the money you have spent. Can you imagine?
Wow.
This is a
Wow.
experience of life. It became
Mm.
an issue, and I now started, thank God. That's why I said it's good to consult. Bible says in the multitude of counsel there's
There is
safety.
safety.
And
Yes.
that is where the safety come into play.
Wow.
The people I've consulted came into play. Okay. My permanent secretary and some other people who I consulted before I took that decision now
Mm.
intervene, wade into the matter. That okay, what was your opinion? Because some people will have to be challenged. Because some people, especially when they are above you or think they are your superior, they
Yes.
want to rub certain things on. Yeah. So now there may be something I may not like to say on here
Yeah.
because it's a real life issue right there.
Yeah, I
Due to the
understand.
sense. But the point I want to draw from it to answer your question is, at every critical situation where you need to make critical decision emanating from critical thinking,
Yes, sir.
try as much as possible. The moment you realize that it's going beyond what you can handle,
Yes.
consult people that you believe that know better than you.
Mm.
Consultation will guide you and save you from mistakes that can cause you pains or disadvantage as a result of whatever decision you make from your own thinking.
Consultation will guide you and save you from a lot of problems. Mm.
Yes, when you
Wow.
consult the right person. And that was what saved me from the problem. They almost twist it and
Mm.
put me at disadvantage for doing the right thing. But because I thought critically, and that was why it occurred to me to consult some people. And that
Mm.
consultation was what gave me the backing to do what I did. And by the time it would have boomerang. That was when those people now weighed in that we are part of this decision. So you can't turn it
Mm.
around. So whether you
Mm.
like it or not, go ahead and do the needful.
Mm.
So
Mm.
these are some of the. So whenever we are left with issues, critical one, either in our place of work or in our life. I was talking about my own personal career now. I'm
Yes, sir.
making some decisions. I also consulted. Then I've already making some preparation to guide me in my decisions. So that the day I won't regret it.
Yes, sir.
So it is important to take time to critically analyze our options and choices. Then make
Yes, sir.
consultation if need be, so that at the end of the day, we will not be at disadvantage.
Mm. Wow. That was a very beautiful one there. You cited a live, scenario to us so that we can learn from, where you used the act of critical thinking to solve a problem that will have cost you money, and if care was not taken at that point, it could have cost your job.
Yes, can cost me my job.
It could have
It's
also
possible.
cost your job. So we see how important it is for us to, put up the act of critical thinking in every aspect of our lives. Every aspect of our lives, either as a family person, either as a businessman, either as an individual, either you lead a team of people in an organization. The act of critical thinking is something that can never be overemphasized. It is a skill that we need to acquire, specially that can help us improve, in every aspect of our lives. For people who are listening to us right now, we have been talking about the act of critical thinking as how it relates to life and work, and we have the person of Mr. Gbenga Emiloju, all the way from Ekiti State, joining us live on Instagram and on site on Top Radio 90.9 FM, where we have been discussing the act of critical thinking. And of course, for those who have been listening since we started, we can, they can testify that it's been a very wonderful time that we've been having since we kicked off the program tonight. Yeah. So, Mr. Gbenga, I don't think we would be able to take all of the questions that we put together for you tonight, but let's see if we can take about one or two more questions before we leave tonight. So I just asked you a question where you shared your experience, where you had to use the act of critical thinking to resolve a conflict, and you did justice to that. Yeah. So can you tell me about a time when you had to evaluate conflicting informations or opinion? How did you determine the most accurate course of action?
Thank you very much.
Mm.
Let me use the conflicting opinion
Yes.
or conflicting choices.
Yes, sir.
Uh, I will also use my personal experience. There was a time when I was starting when I was to start my PhD program.
Yes, sir.
I was having alternative intention for a different professional course or
Okay.
program, and I look at the two options, because when you are making a choice out of
Yes, sir.
multiple alternatives, you
Yes,
must
sir.
think beyond that moment. Look at the
Mm.
future, because every goal, because most of the time I'm a go-getter. Whatever goal you are setting for yourself, you must be able to tie it to a purpose.
Yes,
Why
sir.
am I pursuing this
Definitely.
goal? Let me just tell this a story of a farmer who has a dog, and whenever the dog is always sitting by the roadside. Whenever a vehicle is passing, the dog will run after the vehicle. So maybe after like a kilometer and it could not catch up, it will run back again and sit down. When another vehicle is
Yes.
moving, it will do the same thing. So the neighbor of the owner of the dog has been noticing the activities of the dog and asked the owner, "But I noticed that your dog always run after vehicle. Does
Mm.
he ever think that he can catch up with a moving vehicle?" The
Mm.
owner now answered, "My concern is not either he can catch up or not. What if he catch up? What will he do with a car?"
Mm.
Many people set goals that at the end of the day, by the time they achieve the goal, there is nothing meaningful it contribute to their life.
Wow.
So when you are making the choices concerning your goal, or maybe two alternatives, I was talking
Mm.
about when I was doing PhD and some other professional programs,
Yes, sir.
I weighed the two options based on my plans. I, al- I always develop personal development plan for short term, medium term, and long term.
Yes,
For
sir.
what I'll be doing for the next 25 years of my life, as I'm talking to you, I know it. That is
Mm.
the essence of planning. So
Yes,
based
sir.
on these plans, which of this option is the best at the moment? And that is where reflections comes in. That is where analytical skill comes in. You analyze these options because you may be having conflicting opinion even at home. Sometimes you will want to cook. What do I eat tonight? Do I eat rice or pounded yam? And these are conflicting opinion. What clothes should I wear this morning? Do I put on browns? Okay, this morning, today is the AGM of CIPM. That's Chartered Stop Personnel Management of Nigeria.
Yes.
Was nominated for the position of the vice chairman in Ekiti State branch. And when I was
congratulations, sir.
Thank you. So I was elected and I emerged the winner of the election.
Wow.
So and when I was dressed up this morning, I brought out 3 suits. Which one should I wear? That took me almost 5 to 10 minutes before I decided. I didn't plan to put on white shirts. But this time I thought that this is a formal occasion. I analyzed each of the items I brought out to be able to decide which one is the most appropriate. And that is what happens when you are having a conflicting opinions. Look beyond the moment you are making that decisions. Look at the resultant effect. That is the final stage of that decisions.
Yes.
So, and you'll be able to make. So I now look at my personal development plan. Which of this is most needed at the moment? Because how do you determine what is most needed? You look at the importance and the urgency. Is it urgent? Is it important? Can it wait? So your ability to analyze all these options, no matter how conflicting they are, and that is where time could be one of the impediments.
Yes.
If you don't have enough time to do analysis, you may just be rushed to make decisions. But when you have the time, critically analyze each of the options, align them to your plans, the essence of that thing you want to do. Which one is better, will better serve? Which one is cost effective? Which ones that will take you lesser time? Which one that will give you maximum output?
Yes.
Then based on that, you'll be able to make choice. So when I was considering which one to go for, either professional course or the PhD, I went straight for the professional course because I know that the PhD, I'm not going to academics. I don't have that plan.
Yes.
That is the most essence of doing PhD. You want to go into academia rather.
Yes.
But I don't have plan to go to academia. So I choose to obtain these professional qualifications. And thank God today, they are paying off. Now, money I'm making from consulting services, I've done about 4 consulting jobs this year. I'm making money from consulting. That's why if I work in the civil service. I do project management for people. I just took up a course at Regenesis Business School in India on project management. I just started the program. I realized that I will need the experience, the knowledge to further enlarge my capability as a consultant. So your ability to make a decision out of conflicting options will be based on your plans, the outcome. You must be able to tie it to the outcome, your plans. So then at the end of the day, you won't regret your choice.
Yes. So thank you very much, Mr. Gbenga. It's quite it has been a wonderful time talking to you on the show tonight. And I'm sure that most of our listeners have been able to pick 1 or 2 things from the list of the things that you have outlined and evaluated for us on the show tonight. We are so glad that you were able to create just this time for us to be able to speak to you and for us to be able to learn from your wealth of experience. And ladies and gentlemen, we have been talking about the art of critical thinking in relation to life and work, and we have the presence of Mr. Gbenga Emiloju, one of the top executives at Ekiti State Government. And of course, like I said, that if I begin to read Mr. Gbenga Emiloju's CV, it's a very long one that we may not be able to finish until the end of the program. So thank you very much for finding time to speak to us again tonight. And we hope that you would be able to honor our invitation whenever we we call, to have your presence on the show. And I think that this is how much of what we can take tonight. For people who wants to contact Mr. Gbenga, either for project management or you want to consult him in one way or the other, you can reach out to Mr. Gbenga on Instagram at gbenga.emiloju. And of course, if you need, you need to do one business or the other with him, he's very much available to take you up either in human resource management, either in project management, name it, Mr. Gbenga Emiloju, we can guarantee you that, any business opportunity that you push out to him is capable enough to be able to handle such for you. So once again, thank you very much, sir, for honoring our invitation tonight. And we hope that we'll be able to have you, the next time we want to bring you on the show.
Thank you very much, Mr. Samuel Olabulo, for this invitation. And honestly, I really have a nice time with you on this program today.
Thank you
It is
very much.
indeed a very good idea. Though, please forgive me. I forgot to broadcast because I have more than 5,000 contacts on WhatsApp. If I had known, I would have shared. I was expecting a flyer, rather, that could ahead. So if I known, I would have broadcasted it and would have had more audience. Yeah. But maybe going forward, we can embrace that. So once again, thank you very much for inviting me on this program.
Thank you very much,
sir.
Thank you very much.
God bless you. You are doing wonderfully well. I pray God will continue to increase you to do more.
Amen. Thank you very much. Yeah, so maybe in the next couple of weeks we're going to look at how free your schedule is, and we'll look at how to bring you on the show again so that you can be of a blessing to all of us, both on Top Radio 90.9 FM and everyone on your network and on my network too. So once again, thank you very much for honoring our invitation tonight.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, so welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how much of what we can take for tonight on the Boardroom Convo. And until next week again, when we come your way, it's a good night from here. Good night. Bye. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. How do I end this? How do I?
I think it's a normal ending.
I want to make sure I save it because.
Oh, okay. That's